Hey folks, Jonathan here. Been really cold. Been working a lot on my son's house, so I haven't had a chance to do a lot on the 59. I've been getting parts in. Don't have everything in yet. Got a lot of it in, as you can see. I think I showed everybody the brake lines and new master cylinder. That's the front brakes. We've got shocks for the front. We've got shocks for the rear. There's the front wheel cylinders, back's already on, water pump, and let me see, we got the ball joints in, the lower ball joints. I'm not going to replace the uppers, and I'm not really going to go through and replace anything else. Everything is really good and tight on this front end, and I wouldn't have replaced them if that one nut hadn't been just spinning, so I figured I'd go ahead and put them in. And you know, 99% of the time when you break a ball joint, it's the bottom ball joint that breaks anyway. Well, actually, since I have towed, towing for years, I don't think I've ever seen a top one break. It's always the bottom one that breaks. And so anyway, we got them. We got our new plug wires. And let me see. I went in and bought this new coil. Kind of funny, there's a carb kit. Let me see. That is clean flush inside the fuel tank. Hold on, let me figure out. Okay, this is the fuel pump. Spark plugs, points, and the reason I bought this coil, I was on Rock Auto, and I was buying plug wires and points and all that, and then this coil pops up for like $6. So I just figured, what the heck, we'd buy a new coil. No more money than that is. So got that, and of course our motor mounts that everybody's seen. Now I've bought some hubcaps. These are tri-bar 14-inch hubcaps, and these are old school 60s style hubcaps from Speedway Motors. And I kind of funny, but when I was young, 14, 15 years old, of course I had a J.C. Whitney magazine, and and I've told everybody this story before, but I used to cut the pictures out of it, the things I wanted, and I'd actually put them in a little photo album. I never had the money to buy them, and never could buy anything. So, and I usually don't do this. I usually don't buy this many parts or do anything like that, but I figured I would do it just for the heck of it and go ahead and try to get this as a dependable ride. And like I said, there's road trips involved with this car, and maybe more than one, you never know. But anyway, so what we've got to do now is get on this front end, and we'll take the bottom ball joint out. We'll recheck the top ball joint and tire roddings and stuff, but like I said, everything seems to be so straight and good on it, and I'm about afraid to replace anything with new Chinese parts. But we're definitely going to go ahead and change these springs out, and I'm not going to lower them whatsoever. I'm going to leave them just like they are. We may have a tail dragger when we're done. If we do, we do. I'm not too worried about that. Should handle good, probably a little stiffer, so maybe to take corners a little better, and it should still ride okay, so I don't see any issues. But as for the car weight of the springs that that came out of, there's really no difference. I mean, very, very little. So anyway, we'll get at this. You can see where the old blowed out flat tires was rubbing when it went around, but I'll clean everything up, and we're going to replace all the bushings on the sway bar, which is not much of a sway bar, but it is one. And then get them bottom ball joints out of there, go and get them changed out, get the springs in. Got new hoses, of course new wheel cylinders, new brakes, and as you can see, brake system is a goner. So anyway, and we'll go from there. So show you as I go. All right, we got one ball joint out, passenger side, I'm sorry. Like I said, I hated changing these because, as you can see, they're nice and tight. There's nothing wrong with them, but I had to torch the nut off of it because it was spinning in there. So just the way it goes. But like I said, original parts. I really hate changing it. They sent me metric bolts to put back in my ball joint on my 59 Ford car. There's got to be some kind of law against that. Okay, we got the lower ball joint on, we got all the brakes on, new wheel cylinder, and the new brake hose. So I think for now I'm going to stop on this part And I'm going to jump up there and start putting, well, I think I'll maybe do the motor mounts. I was going to do the water pump, but I got to get them motor mounts off, get the engine up just a little bit. I got to get all the freeze plugs knocked out of it. There's 2 rubber ones and a bunch of rusty ones. So we're going to replace all of them. And I don't know if everybody's seen before, motor mounts are so bad on this thing that the exhaust manifold's actually laying on that mount. So we've got to get that up and off. And we are going to drain this oil out. I don't think it's as bad as we thought it was. You know, we thought it was all gummed up, but I don't believe it is. We'll end up pulling a valve cover, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But I think it was just because the stick was hanging in there for so long. I don't think it was pushed down all the way, and it had got some crud on it or rust or something. But the oil is not nearly as bad as I thought. Of course, you know, we're changing it, but I don't think we're going to have to pull the pan or nothing like that. So hopefully we won't have any rear seal leaks or front transmission leaks. Who knows? You know, it is what it is. We'll fix it as we go. Okay, I was looking under here at a little bit of everything, and you know, I ordered that master cylinder. I didn't remember it having what we call the fruit jar top. So I got my other one out and looked, and here it is. 4-bolt. Looks just like the 59 Ford truck. And I think that's the reason we've got this kinked line off, is because somebody's changed this out. It's not the right one. And instead of running this line in the front of the master cylinder where it's supposed to be, or actually it probably goes in the side. I think there's a banjo style fitting that goes in here. And I don't remember, I guess it's going to have the brake light switch hooked in it unless it's somewhere else. And these wires look factory, so I think it's going to be here. So we're going to have to find the banjo fitting that goes in with the port for the brake line and the port for the brake light sensor or switch, whatever you want to call it. And that'll put us back like it's supposed to be. Like I said, I got a new fuel pump we got to put on there, and we'll blow the line out from here to the gas tank. I don't have it hooked to the gas tank yet because I wanted to blow it through and make sure that it's clean, make sure there's no issues, maybe spray something through it before we even attempt to hook it up. And for the engine parts, which I don't know that they changed a whole lot, but everything I ordered for this, including carburetor kit, I ordered for the 67 model because that's what we had determined that this engine is. And 1967 352. And anyway, so now we know that we've definitely got the wrong brake set up. See, the passing gear is unhooked. That may be a little different linkage because it don't look like it would move there. So we may have to do a little work on that, possibly just some adjusting. We want to get that hooked up. Don't see anything else. You know, they got a bunch of vacuum lines blocked and stuff we're gonna have to fix right and make them decent. You know, I wonder sometimes, you know, when there's old bolts laying around, what they're for, because that might have been the battery box. That's what that is, because I bolted it back in with new bolts. It's hard to say where they lay parts and lay stuff when they take them off. We're going to go through all the wiring on this thing and make sure everything's just right and working good. I'm tempted to go with the generator. I didn't order an alternator. We can put a new voltage regulator on it. I can check out that generator and make sure it's good. They're pretty easy to mess with. They're not as bad as you would think. And may run it. And let's make sure there's a jump box with us or something on our road trip just in case we need it. Oil sending unit. Everything looks like it's still hooked up like it should be. Because we, you know, want the gas gauges on the dash, everything to work like it's supposed to if we can. If not, we'll have to add on a aftermarket set somewhere because I want to know temperature and oil pressure. Voltage is not, you know, we'll leave you setting, but it won't cause, you know, more damage. But, all right, we're gonna keep at this. I think, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pull the motor mounts next. That's probably the worst job here, so we'll get at it. Okay, let me show you a motor mount comparison. New one, old one. That thing has moved and then glued itself back together with heat, I guess. That's how far down that engine was on the passenger side. So we got one off, but I want to show you something else on the other side before I take it off. Okay, hopefully you're going to be able to see this, but this camera does good with no light. But there's the front freeze plug, frost plug, expansion plug. They're actually clean outs for sand, but for the casting, but call them what you want. But anyway, that's a rubber one with the nut in the center. And then come back here, there's another rubber one with a nut in the center, the shiny one there. It actually looks pretty clean. But here's what really gets me. The center one is another one, but they had to take the motor mount off to put it on. Now, why would anybody go through that kind of trouble and then put a rubber mount or rubber freeze plug back in? You know, rubber freeze plugs are really just temporaries or something that, you know, on a quick fix or something like that. But I cannot believe they went through that trouble. But the good thing is we're taking the motor mounts off. And then we're going to be able to get to these things good enough to get them in there. And we're going to flush the block while we have them out. So that's one of the reasons that I'm wanting to change all of them. But of course all three of them are rubber on this side, so they definitely need changed. And then all three are steel on the other side, but you know, they look like they're thin, like they might have been seeping a little bit. So either way, we're going to go ahead and change them. So anyway, why somebody go through that trouble on that mount though? Actually remove the mount, put a rubber plug in it, and then put the mount back on. I'll never understand. All right, let me get at it. All right, here's the other motor mount. It's out. You can see this one's fine thread, that one's coarse thread, and that one's coarse thread. So this is probably a replacement, and that might be an original. It's hard to say, but anyway, it don't look as bad as the other one, but we're replacing both. So. All right, now we're going to take the starter off to get to this back one, which I think has been leaking. But I'm going to knock that center one out real quick. You can see there's some rust at the bottom of it. I'll knock it out and let's see how bad it is inside. I soaked myself and all my tools, which I knew it was going to do it, but I didn't think it would do it that bad. So what I always do on these is I actually just knock them in and let them twist. And then usually, you take a pair of pliers or vice grips and grab a hold of them. Okay, we got a hold of it. There we go. Oh look, there's a hole through it. There's a hole clean through it. So that's why I'm changing all of them. I don't want to take any chances. And, yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, a lot of rust and crap and a little bit of everything. So we're going to flush this block really well. We'll go ahead and get all the rest of the freeze plugs out. We'll get the starter off so I can get to this one. And we'll just have to take a water hose and start washing. And we want to make sure it's good and clean inside so we can not worry about it hurting our new radiator. Plus, you know, we want it to cool for sure. Alright, like I said, I just like to knock these in. I'm going to go to the top side because the bottom side is rusty and a screwdriver may get through it or the pry bar. So, well, it went right through it, unfortunately. There we go. I twisted it. Now we should be able to get a hold of it and yank it out of there. There we go. And of course it's rusty as can be. I'll show you inside. Hopefully you can see that. You see why I'm cleaning this out now. We'll have to bust all that out and, like I said, run water through it. So now let me get this front one out. Okay, we got them all three out. It's getting late on me. It's taking me about a little over 2 days to get all this done just because of having to leave for tows. So, but everything's taken apart, and I guess from here on out it's putting everything back together. So I'm going to end the video here. I'll show you the freeze plugs out. Okay, so here's the old freeze plugs that was in it. All three of these have holes in them. All three of them was rough to get out, but we got them out. I'm beginning to think maybe the rubber might have been better. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to see if we can get the brass ones for it. Probably won't be able to. Probably around local, I'll just find steel, get them in there, get some antifreeze in it. Hopefully, you know, the rear ones are in good shape. I mean, it wasn't leaking anywhere. Sometimes if you don't mess with them, you don't have any problems with them. But we'll get this thing together and do a, you know, a 15-pound test on it and see what happens. And but I don't, you know, I'm trying to keep from pulling the engine out if we can. But anyway, so that's all I can get done for now. I did get the GoPro in and on the truck. I've already posted a video of the test for it. So my luck, I'll end up getting a bunch of wrecks at night, and you know, everything will change. But we'll get some videos on that either way, and maybe doing the generator and putting back on here. But we're going to start getting back together now. Here's one new one that was laying in the car, believe it or not. So anyway, we'll find this shallow 1 3/4 inch and we'll get this thing together. Alright, appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, bye.